One of my coworkers died recently, and all I'm thinking about is all the effort she wasted trying to find the job that she can't have anymore. I started this job in January, and she started in April. It took me 6 months and over 100 applications to get this job, and I had a job before applying, which I know makes it much easier to land in interviews. I don't know about her situation, but the way that the market is right now, she likely spent as much time or longer trying to land the job she got. I know how she must have felt during all that demoralizing time. And for what? What became of her efforts? Where did her stress, her failures, her hope, her perseverance, her strength leave her? To a job that she had for less time than she spent looking for it. All her pain, and she never even got to keep what she won. To get something so rare and coveted, something that thousands of people would envy her for, and it was ripped away from her forever. She's not the only person in my office to leave, like 7 people have resigned or been fired since I started. So I'm used to people coming and leaving pretty quickly, like one guy who didn't show up for training for like 3 days. I felt bad for him because he had car problems, and he was always polite on the phone, but I get why he couldn't get away with that. But she truly did nothing wrong. She was wonderful and always warm with me and her clients. We shared a birth month, and she complimented me on how I was caring for the office plants and how she was a plant mom with 200 at her home. And now what? She got to grasp a stable future by its silver lining, and now she has nothing. What is even the point? Mr. Esk responds, "Last century, my division hired a new manager. He relocated with his family from a few states away, made a positive impression on everyone he interacted with. He was with us 3 or 4 months and died of a heart attack mowing his lawn. My team got his replacement rec less than a week after his funeral. I get feeling empathetic for your coworker and what happened. It's natural and shows you have a kind soul. Someone is going to be replacing her soon because the business needs someone in that seat. I'm not saying you should put her out of your mind, but for your own mental health, if your company has an EAP or is offering grief counseling, take advantage of it." OP then adds, "Honestly, but the way this company has worked so far, there might be a long while before her replacement is found." Which sounds nice in theory, but in actuality, it just means that everyone has to work around her absence. Like, we just have to feel the fact that she's not there anymore, redirecting her clients who call asking for her, breaking the news again and again, while the company spends months trying to find a unicorn. Large Turnover 6885 says, "It's such a weird feeling realizing a company has to keep moving even when people are still grieving. I don't like it, but it's true. Taking the support that's available really does matter too." People who got fed up and just said F this and called out a recruiter hiring manager during an interview, what happened? Quit Calling Newsrooms responds, "Oh, she got pissed. Recruiter reached out to set up a call, we set up a time, and then it was canceled less than 24 hours before the call. 2 months later, same recruiter reaches out again, set up a call, she no-shows. I send a message saying, 'Where are you?' She asks to reschedule, sets a time for 3 days later, no-shows on that call too. After waiting for 15 minutes, I send another 'Where are you?' message, followed by reaching out to the C-suite HR person through LinkedIn, laying out how this recruiter had flaked on me 3 times. Never heard back from the C-suite, but messaging them did the trick. The recruiter finally called me screaming at me about how I'm unprofessional and trying to shift blame to me or anyone else. During her rant, I reached back out to the C-suite and said, on the positive side, the recruiter did call, but it seems she only called to scream at me for going above her to find someone to point out her inability to do the basics of her job, and that I was recording the call if anyone needed it for documentation. AdventureThink says, I would have emailed the recorded call to recruiter NC. Someone nicer adds, if you want them to be guaranteed fired, sure, just realize that moves you from helpful, proactive candidate we might look to hire someday to blacklist and never hire this person. Because no exec or HR professional anywhere wants an employee who secretly records conversations and shares them. For clarity, so it's not just buried in a reply below, I'm all for recording when you need to and using it and assuming you're in a single-party consent jurisdiction. Just in this circumstance where you're not employed and you want to be employed by a company, it's potentially inadvisable to advertise or share recordings. MFGNG64 argues, I recorded a sociopathic manager. It was against company policy, but I transcribed it word for word. I sent it to corporate HR and lawyers. My managers knew they were toast. No lies could get them out of the trouble they were in. Some executives and managers need to be slapped down a peg, especially the ones that believe they can lie and abuse employees with impunity. Don't say stupid stuff at work. Just went through the most hilariously incompetent hiring process I've seen yet. I think I would be even more angry if it wasn't so freaking funny. A recruiter from an agency reached out to me for a job that's in my sector, and essentially my previous job description down to a T. I sent him my resume, and he agrees that it is a pretty obvious fit. The next day, Friday, they say they want me to go to an interview. They propose exactly one possible time on that coming Tuesday, and when I wasn't available then, I was, quite literally, on a flight somewhere over continental Europe at the time. Their only other option was exactly 1 week later, at the same time. Weird, but whatever. A few days before the interview, the meeting invite is canceled. There is no content in the email besides the cancellation. I ask them for clarification and receive no response. The recruiter reaches out to me over the weekend and tells me they have already selected a candidate. So it goes. On Monday, I then get told by the same recruiter that he is trying to get me rescheduled. And then, finally, a few hours before the interview was supposed to happen, I get the final news. They had decided to offer one person the role, then changed their mind and decided to not only not interview the people they had lined up, but for some reason replace all of them with different people that were, in his somewhat baffled words, worse fits. So over the course of 4 days, I went from having an interview scheduled to it being canceled and the job off the market, to the job being back on the market, to the job now suddenly not being a fit for my profile anyway. How do these people function? Adolescent Hammock 8 says, the candidate they picked probably ghosted them or bombed the background check, and instead of just circling back to you, they decided to blow it all up and start over with randoms. Recruiters at agencies operate on such thin margins that they'd rather scramble than admit they backed the wrong horse in the first place. TF2 comments, recruiter here, their first choice rejected them, or majorly disrepresented themselves. OP responds, yeah, I'm just surprised that they'd officially close the books on it before the deal was done, and why they decided to throw out the entire field and grab someone else out of the bag. It just seems incredibly dumb. Just had an interview where every single question started with, tell me about a time. I'm tired. House of Crazies 84 says, I call this a storytime interview. I had one of these to become an assistant manager of a gas station. Listen, lady, I'm going to sell cigarettes and count pork rinds. Why test my on-the-spot creative writing skills? Real Ale Pint ads. Tell me about a time a homeless guy shoplifted a tall boy. Melodic Mode 2332 comments. The worst is when they rephrase the tell me about a time question to basically ask something you've already discussed. Like how many different conflict resolution, problem-solving, interpersonal relationship stories am I supposed to have prepared? Job search has genuinely made me have zero will to live. How is it that my dad has only an associate's? My mom dropped out of college, and yet they've both had 6-figure jobs, and I get my applications rejected for any job over $30K annually with an associate's in business administration. I feel like there's no hope. $30K in the US is pennies. That doesn't even count the fact it would probably drop to around $25K after taxes. I can't move out with that, even if I rent. I can't do anything with that. I genuinely feel like there's no hope in life right now. My whole family thinks I'm a bum, and they think so little of me, but they don't understand that I want a job way more than they want me to have one. My fiancé doesn't understand how much pain this process is putting me in, because he picked an actually decent major and has multiple connections in his field already before he's even graduated. I'm so frustrated because I don't see a way forward. Borderline 60% of the jobs on Google are fake and just exist to sell your info. It's so evil to prey on people who are desperate to just make a living. I can't stop thinking about things I should have or could have done differently. I blame my dad a lot for where I'm at because he really did make my college life so dang hard. But I also blame myself for not trying hard enough in school, not trying to find a better part time job while I was in school, not picking a better major. Had I changed what I would have done, maybe I'd be employed full time by now. Even my current organization won't hire me full time because I don't have a bachelor's or experience. I'm just so tired. I'm a fast learner. I'm excellent in customer service. I'm very attentive and detail oriented, and I prioritize a good relationship with coworkers and supervisors. These are all traits that are supposed to be desirable. But despite the fact that I present myself extremely professionally in interviews, in attire, attitude, and ability to answer questions, none of that matters because I don't have a bachelor's and 3+ years of experience. When I do get interviews, it's almost like they knew they weren't going to hire me from the start, but just interviewed me anyways for the heck of it. One Sonia says, I feel the same way. I graduated 6 months ago with a master's degree and have sent over 600 applications. Nothing has worked. I truly feel at a loss at this point, and every day I continue to send applications, I just feel a crushing depression as it feels impossible. OP then adds, the worst part is that I'm genuinely considering joining the military just so I can have some faffing job assistance. It would be quicker for me to go through the 3-month boot camp than it would be to find a decent job. Please don't forget to show your support with a like and subscribe.